there is a struggle energy, like a mental emotional squeeze kind of energy that I am feeling from people. One of the things that I am fortunate to have the vantage point of is working with people one-on-one in my mindset and health coaching, and then also being on social media and getting lots of different comments, and then in my different communities. And it gives me this like viewpoint of like, wow, a lot of people are experiencing this right now. And what I'm feeling right now is a lot of people are feeling what I'm calling the squeeze right now, like this mental, emotional, like, like what's going on? I'm feeling this kind of pressure, or this like shadow work coming through, or these changes I'm feeling I'm needing, and I'm not exactly sure where to go with this. And I thought I would share a couple of things that I have personally found extremely helpful for when you're feeling that squeeze like that, like something's got to change, something's got to give, like can't keep going like this anymore. The first of those things is how you are talking to yourself, how you're treating yourself. Is why I posted about this yesterday, because if there's one thing that I have learned through working with people one-on-one for many years now in mindset, is that most people are really freaking mean to themselves. And we have been trained as a motivation method to just pressure the crap out of ourselves and be mean to ourselves and be these ruthless expectation monsters with ourselves. And you can achieve that way. There's lots of people who do it. It's not a requirement to be kind to yourself to achieve things. You can be mean as shit. And sometimes that drives people to insane levels of performance. You'll just be miserable through the process. You'll be miserable even when you get the goal. And then it's what I call performance-based self-worth. So maybe you make the goal and you're like, now I'm good enough. Now I like myself. Now I'm okay. But what happens when that starts to slip? That mask that you put on of I'm okay with myself and my life starts to crumble. And it's like, oh, actually, I didn't fix any of the underlying levels of this. I just was performancing my way into feeling okay with myself. So it's a slippery slope, that one. So what I find on this first aspect of really being able to get to where you want to go is really watching how you are treating yourself and how you're talking to yourself. And I've kind of let go of like, the phrase that I use now a lot is inner bestie. Okay. I talk about this with my clients, because think of like your best friend. Hopefully you have a best friend like this, or at least a good friend. They're empathetic. They validate your feelings. They're like, that's freaking sucks. Oh my gosh. There's a lot of empathy, a lot of validation going on. And then there's good questions if they're an awesome friend, right? Like, what do you think you should do? What are you gonna do? But there's no judgment, right? A really good friend, you could be like, I just freaking like beat the crap out of somebody at a bar, and they'd be like, oh my gosh, what happened? Right? They're not like, oh wow, I got two of my good friends on here. What's up, Robbie and Gavin? So having that inner bestie energy with yourself, validate your feelings. If you're feeling stressed to the effing max, give yourself a heart hug. Like, dude, this is a lot. I feel that with you. Right? And then ask yourself good questions. Give yourself that supportive energy. Okay. So that self-talk, this is something I know we kind of know this, but just if you can bring the unconscious to the conscious, meaning you're feeling super stressed, you're feeling out of sorts, you're feeling down on yourself, you can feel it in your body, right? Like you're just not great. That's a tip off to you that unconsciously in your body here, there's some stories. What's up, Todd? I got all kinds of friends coming on here. There's a feeling in your body. Your body is a lie detector. Okay, so your mind might be like, you're doing fine. I'm okay with everything. And your body's like, fuck, shit, ah! Like, that's what's really going on the unconscious levels. But the cool thing is if we can bring that up, like, hey, what is actually going on with me? Bring it to our conscious mind. That's where we have the ability to play with those stories, with that true self-talk, those beliefs, those stories that we're holding, and we can start to shift those and bring them down into our unconscious. And that's when you start to get on autopilot. It's not so hard, right? You're like, okay, cool. All right. The second side of this thing that I have noticed is extremely helpful is getting a vision like literal vision, like close your eyes, meditate, literal vision of like, not only where do I want to go, but how do I see myself in my most optimal, next point on this journey from where I'm at now. So if you're feeling that squeeze and you're feeling that like, oh, freak, this is not it. This is not it for me. Take some time to imagine, play, visualize, like, what is it for me? Like, so a visualization practice I do each morning is I pick my most important goal I'm working on that day. And sometimes it's really simple, something really simple. And I close my eyes and I visualize for 1 minute. This is part of my higher morning routine for my more advanced peeps. Visualize for 1 minute the most optimal outcome that you can possibly see in that arena, and connect to that. Do it over and over and over. How do I see this? Where do I see myself? What am I wearing? What do I look like? Who am I with? What am I not doing? What's currently in my life right now that is not part of that future reality? What is part of my life right now that is, right? And start to attach yourself visually, mentally, emotionally to this place that feels more aligned to you. And then there's the big work of change, right? Because you're going to have to let some things go. And sometimes letting things go is scary as crap. But if that part of your life doesn't feel like a match for that future reality that you're envisioning for yourself, that's when you got to put your big girl, big boy pants on. And you have to make some hard changes. Give yourself time. Don't pressure the crap out of yourself, but not so much time that you just never make the change, right? Because the way I see it, like, these intuitions, these downloads, they drop in for us, and it's like this invitation. It's like, here, you see how this isn't working for your life, and you see how you're being pulled that way? Would you like to take it? Would you like this delicious cake? And if you're like, no, I'm going to live in fear and I'm too scared to actually do that, then it kind of passes, and then you might get the invitation again and then again. So take it, don't wait so long that it passes and you just get ingrained into your current reality again, if your current reality is one that you're just not feeling is aligned for you anymore. So to kind of sum this up, the two aspects of transformation or changing that I find hold people back a lot is, one, they're just so mean to themselves. That is unfortunately most adults, even teenagers right now. We have not come that far. Having teenagers and hearing how, I don't know, what's going on in the state of families, at least in America, I'm like, wow, we are still traumatizing the hell out of our kids. Man, all sorts of expectations and energy, pressure, not good enough for me, judgment, and so we all got trained to talk to ourselves like that. So working little by little of like, how am I treating myself? Am I being my inner best friend? Am I being empathetic? Am I being supportive? When you notice you're not, that's the opportunity to change that. It's like, let me try that again. That's what I say inside myself. If I'm like kind of rude to myself or pressuring or invalidating, I'm like, ooh, let me try that again. It's kind of like, sorry, geez. Let me mend this relationship. Let me try that again and say that a little more respectful of you, right? So repatterning the inner bestie self-talk is huge to get you where you want to go. And then the other part is actually visualizing that future. What is it? What do I want? What is part of my life right now that needs to go? And what is part of that future life that needs to come in? And just sit with that. Just keep attaching to that over and over and over, because when you're actually like clear, because you've spent a lot of time in the vision of that future reality, then it's like when you go to your day to day and you're like, wow, I'm still doing this. I'm still doing this. Is not who I am. I've seen who I am. I've seen what's aligned for me. This is not it. It's not part of it. It becomes easier to let that thing go. You're like, I got to get rid of this. All right, I got to do this. Eventually enough is enough. And you're like, okay, big girl pants on. Okay, let it go. Okay. So anyway, I just thought I'd share those two things because those are clutch for me. And I can feel it, dude. People going through stuff right now. It's like the energy is swirling people up. People in a tornado, like, oh my gosh, where am I going to land at the end of this? And if you want to land in a place that's aligned for you, be kind and supportive of yourself. Watch that mean inner talk. That will not take us where we want to go. That's going to keep us stuck right where we are. And then actually visualize, you're spinning in the tornado and you're like, okay, that little farmhouse right there, that's where I want to go. So I'm going to bust out of this and land right there. It's like that. Okay. All right. That's what I got. Thanks for joining me. Hi, Jenny. Thanks for joining me, guys. All right. Have a beautiful day.